Welcome back to At Home with Roby. I'm Patrick McIsaac from Roby Electric, along with Trent Haston from the Roby family of companies. We are your host. Sean Hogan from Roby Electric is still with us. Sean, you were just so darn entertaining, interesting.
We had a consideration to make it a Roby Electric handyman, electrical handyman type, and then just a carpentry handyman segment. But you were dropping so much knowledge. We thought we might have you stick around, talk about some things you can do inside, spruce up the house, and then also maybe touch on the generators and why there's so much importance and value, how far along generators have come. I'm a huge generator advocate. I think it's a great asset for your family and your house.
It is. Just actually went on a call, and I appreciate the added time. I feel like I could do 3 consecutive shows with you guys and just
you went on a call Sunday morning. Wow. You work really hard.
That's right. We do. You know, if that's needed, we'll do it. So, had to do a little generator call on a Sunday morning, and went out, and the client's up on the lake and needed something. They're last on the grid to go back when they do get a power outage. So we find that oftentimes in Lake Wiley and on Lake Norman, a lot of calls up that way, but. Basically, whole home generator, to keep it simple, you put a transfer switch in between the meter base and the panel, and essentially you lose power. That transfer switch senses it, kicks on that gas to the generator, and your whole house should be up and running within about 30 seconds to a minute.
So most generators are natural gas.
Could be natural gas or propane.
Or propane.
So the natural gas ones tie into the natural
system.
gas grid, which works when the power's out.
That's right.
The propane, and like for me, I don't have natural gas out on Bright Road, and we're last on the grid too there, puppy dog. But the propane, so I would get a propane tank, figure out how much propane it would use and size that accordingly as well.
Exactly. Yep, we can get those specs, and you can take them to your propane company.
So if I can say, hey, I want to make sure I have a week, then you get a propane tank as big as my house.
You get one that accordingly would give you the amount.
But I would probably be able to go buy propane, hopefully. I mean,
right,
and keep filling it up if it lasted longer.
Well, you don't know, man. I mean, these are pretty big tanks, so it would be. I mean, you really want to get, like to your point, you want to have at least a week or so of power. We have a good video on our Facebook page, at Roby Electric's Facebook page, that kind of explains this in layman's terms. So if you're interested in a backup generator, how it works, to Sean's point with the transfer switch, check out our Facebook page at Roby Electric, and there's all kinds of videos and easy tutorials and information on how they actually operate.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, in like the 10 years or so, maybe even 5 years, generators have come along, price point-wise come down, simplicity gone up. I mean, just mentally simplistic. I know back in the day when the price point was higher, right, I was a little more involved. A lot of people were saying, let me pick and choose what I want to hook to my generator, so if the power goes out, I really don't care if I have power to the upstairs for a couple of days. I just want my main arteries or my refrigerator or my AC. Since the evolution of whole home generators, are people more? What's the percentage of people doing whole house versus still trying to save some money and pick and choose what they do?
Well, Trent, it's 91.62%. Now, I have no idea the exact percentage, but you're right. What that technology difference is it's load shedding. So it's basically these transfer switches. They call them smart switches. There's a bunch of different names, but they had the capability to decrease the load that's asked of the generator in an event where you're overtaxing the generator. For example, if you were running your washer and dryer and the air conditioning's on, right? If the washer and dryer is that factor that brings the transfer switch the generator above its capacity, the generator will automatically cut off the power to the air conditioning for the time period while that dryer is running. When the dryer cuts off, the generator will know it, and it'll cut the air conditioning back on. Wow. So that's how people are able to go away from your point where initially you had to sort of pick and choose. And, people would pick, I want my bedroom lights, TV, and a couple of refrigerators and the heating and cooling. You can still do that, okay? You can still do that, but the cost effectiveness of these transfer switches allows for much more applications on being able to back up the whole house.
So you can do a relatively smaller generator. You spend a little more on this better switch, and it judges what needs to be working, what doesn't need to be working in your power output.
That's basically correct.
In
yes.
Harding High School terms.
Yeah. But no, you're right. I mean, especially at this time of year, we're coming up on winter, even though we've had some relatively mild weather up until this weekend. Gosh, it was cold this morning. But when you get the ice and the snow, that's really when you want to have a generator. And if you're interested, don't wait for the first ice storm. Do it now. Have a little bit of prevention, and go ahead and call us out, Roby Electric, and we can go ahead and assess you, because there is some lead time in getting these things ordered and installed. So you're ready for the storm. Sean, you had mentioned you ran one this morning. Was that a whole home application?
It was, yeah. It is making a lot of sense to go whole home, just because if you pick and choose items, I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but from an installation standpoint, you have to separate those circuits out and bring them to the transfer switch itself. So what you're saving in generator costs, you're adding in installation costs.
Didn't realize that either.
Yeah,
wow.
So it really, if you're going to do it, it makes sense to take a look and see what the cost of the whole house is going to be.
The old don't be penny wise and dollar foolish trick.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So
yes.
Okay, we got LED, the technology of the bulbs and the fixtures, motion sensor floodlights, do the LEDs, they last 5 or 10 times as long. Do the outdoor lighting. Now we got generators. Now let's go inside the home. What are some things you see people need to be cognizant of? I know daylight savings reminds people to check stuff and maintain stuff. Like that's their biannual check.
If I can jump back real quick, the only other thing I would add for the exterior, given the time of year, a lot of people putting up Christmas decorations and lights, and breakers are tripping left and right. I mean, we get a call a day where we're going out to this. The load, especially some Clark Griswolds out there that want to decorate the house to the fullest and pay the utility company their entire paycheck. If you want to save from having to go trip the breaker back on, give us a call about adding some dedicated circuits. The load is it's too much for one outlet to handle, for one circuit to handle. So that'll give you some more power, and you'll be able to eliminate that headache. And a little do-it-yourself tip as well, which we find a lot of times up at the lake again, with the moisture in the air and you plugging those Christmas lights in, a lot of times the GFI is tripping because it's still getting in. It's not properly closing. So there's two ways you can go about it. There's in-use bubble covers, which have a proper seal around the bottom so that the cord can be plugged in and it can be fully shut. It's kind of a new technology for those bubble covers. And then secondly, any connections or where you do have extension cords ran or things plugged into each other, get yourself a little plastic Harris Teeter or Publix bag, wrap it around that connection, use electrical tape, and that way it's sealed for the ones that are running across the yard, and it's not going to trip that GFI as easily. It's another little
that's
tactic.
pretty. That's cool. What about the squirrels? The squirrels eat my Christmas lights and my pumpkins at Halloween.
Yeah, that's a good.
You have a BB gun?
Yeah, my wife has a pink one, and she likes to shoot it at
squirrels.
Just
kidding. We don't shoot
your wife
squirrels.
And your girls, right?
Just sting them a little two-cock pow.
I thought we hit them with paintballs. Didn't we talk about that before one time?
That was my neighbor's dog. We're not talking about that.
All right, we got 1 minute. Sean,
okay,
tell us about what we need to do to get in touch with Roby Electric, and what are some things that we need to that people are calling in regards to.
Sure. To get in touch, our main office number is 704-334-6447. You can also go to our website, www.robyelectric.com. We have all of our services up on that website, and you can give us a call if you do have any questions, and we'd love to hear from you.
No job is too small, right? I mean,
That's right.
We focus on service calls, man. That's if you have something, if your breaker's tripping, give us a call. If you want to add a landscape lighting system, give us a call. Add a generator. That's what we're here for.
Commercial, residential, we'll take it all as long as it's service oriented.
And I always hear you say white glove service. Is that because you're so pale, or is that because you give white glove service?
That's a little of both, maybe.
I hear you.
White glove service, Trent.
That's every one of our clients is VIP.
Sean, thanks for being here. You're listening to At Home with Roby. We'll be right back.